Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Every country has its own customs, rituals, certain rules and laws. Therefore, some things foreigners are frankly surprised, because of others may fall into a stupor or experience a real shock. And there are some things that cause complete bewilderment and incomprehension. Some incomprehensible solutions used by almost all locals. But it is not known for what reason and for what purposes it is done. The presence of boards on the wheels of cars, motorcycles, motorcycle rickshaws, and other transport-wheeled vehicles is definitely worth mentioning among such phenomena. Let's try to understand the situation where you can meet such things. Quite often, tourists and visitors are interested in why the Chinese suddenly put different planks on car wheels. Except that this phenomenon is not only observed in China, but the question of why these planks are eventually put under the wheels is still relevant. Tourists, travelers, and people watching different countries through the TV screen or the internet may have noticed a similar tradition, with planks under the wheels of vehicles in different countries. This is now widespread in East Asian countries. If we delve a bit into geography, East Asia includes several countries: China, Mongolia, DPRK, Japan, Republic of Korea, Taiwan. As for the tradition of leaving boards under the wheels of cars, this phenomenon is most widespread in China and Japan. They are the most populous countries in the region. Theories and conjectures. Various improvised means can be used to cover the wheels. Namely, pieces of plywood, pieces of MDF and chipboard, old doors, tabletops, seats from chairs, parts of stools, ordinary cardboard, and so on. Initially, there were many assumptions as to why local residents put these boards and other square or rectangular objects to the wheels of their vehicles. Most tourists thought it had something to do with tow trucks or police, but there was no logical explanation for such theories. After all, how can plaques, which are not even fixed in any way, suddenly help to protect against evacuation or claims from the police? There was another theory as to why in China, Japan, and other countries they put planks on the wheels of vehicles. This is supposedly a way to cover the wheel rims, not to attract attention and thus minimize the risk of theft, or protection against theft of hubcaps, twisting of tire caps, and so on. What is the real reason for covering the wheels? There is only one true answer. If you have been to these countries or watched various releases of tourist programs, you may have noticed one important feature. Even for residents of former Soviet countries, it may seem terrible. We are talking about a huge number of stray animals. They are the main and only reason why they put these boards under the wheels. Even those who have never owned a dog know that these animals come up to all corners, poles, and other surfaces, put their hind legs up, and start defecating. And they don't always do it to defecate. Sometimes just a few drops are enough to mark the territory. The other dog, smelling someone else's odor, will want to take away the territory, and will certainly mark it for the second time. Read also, what are the pros and cons of AWD in a car? Considering how many dogs are living in East Asia without owners, supervision, and proper maintenance, the population is growing rapidly. Measures taken to control the stray dog population are objectively insufficient. Why dogs do it? It is not so difficult to imagine how a pack of dogs running around the neighborhood will mark the same territory time after time. And very often they use automobile wheels as an object for marking. In general, for marking, a dog specially chooses the objects that are most convenient for it, taking into account physiological features, body structure, muscle work, and so on. So there is an explanation for this. But the dog acts on the level of instinct. Therefore, objects that protrude from the ground are chosen as objects for tags. These are all kinds of poles, bushes, growing trees, and, of course, car wheels. There is a constant struggle between dogs for territory. It doesn't necessarily manifest itself as fighting, but time after time, they start to interfere with each other's tags and leave their feces on the wheels. Why it's important to cover your wheels? There's another important issue. Yes, dogs run around, mark the tires, and urinate near the car. But this phenomenon is also observed in many countries. First of all, The population of stray dogs in East Asian countries is much larger than in Russia, CS countries, and the former USSR. All the more so in the EU countries, where strict restrictions are imposed on dog owners. Of course, stray animals can be found there too. There are more of them in Russia, but it is definitely not worth comparing it with the number that is observed in China and Japan. The average tourist will be horrified to see these packs. There are especially many of them in not the most prosperous areas. In the center and tourist places there are practically no stray animals. But go a little bit outside these areas, and you will see the true picture. So the first reason why drivers try to cover their wheels, protecting them from dog tags, is precisely because of the number. Sometimes more than a dozen dogs can literally get their paws on a tire in one day. Secondly, the weather factor has a huge impact. In East Asia, the weather is really hot, not only in summer, but also in other seasons. Often across this region, the average temperature is between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius all year round. Being in such extreme conditions, stray animals, who do not know such a word as shower or bath, begin to emit extremely unpleasant odors. They stink themselves, but their urine, which has ended up on and under the wheels, also starts to stink badly. In fact, all it takes is 3 dogs to mark the wheel. In extreme heat, literally in a few hours there will be an intolerable and persistent odor near the car. And all these stench eventually gets into the interior of the car. Hardly anyone wants to visit a dry cleaner on a regular basis. And ordinary air fresheners and aromatizers for cars will not help if the wheels will be marked regularly. Read also, differences between a radial and diagonal tire. What is the point of using plaques? Not everyone understands the main point. Namely, why suddenly with the help of some plaque can radically solve the problem of marking stray dogs on the wheels. Some people may think that instead of wheels, animals pee on a board. As a result, nothing gets on the wheel and the unpleasant odors are eliminated. In this case, however, motorists and motorcyclists would have to carry marked and smelly pee pads with them all the time, or change them almost every day. In practice, dogs do not mark such pads. When an animal sees a car whose wheels are closed, it will not even think to go there and lift its paw. They will avoid the car. And the reason will surprise someone, and for someone will be a confirmation of his theory. It's all about the angle. It is physiologically and physically inconvenient for a dog to scuff his paw on such a surface. That is why they do not consider such elements installed on wheels as convenient and suitable places for marking. It is simply inconvenient for them. Because of this, they look for other suitable objects. For example, car wheels that the driver has not covered. As a result, this technique has become widespread. Visiting Japan or China, you can see how whole rows of parked cars have such shields on the wheels. And it really works. Application of the fly hack on people. Interestingly, apart from cars, this technique is already used on people, and for a relatively long time. A striking example is England. As you know, the British are very fond of drinking beer in bars and pubs. For some reason, not everyone is eager to visit the toilet in the establishment, or they remember that they need to go to the restroom. When they have already left there are not many options left. Either be patient and do it all at home, or turn up in the nearest back alley to go to the restroom to take a leak. As a result, bar and pub owners have come up with an interesting solution. They make slopes on the walls and erect convex slides in the corners. When a person is not quite sober, he boldly heads for the back alley or stands under the wall to empty himself. But it all ends up splashing and ricocheting liquid all over their legs and pants. Faced with such a thing, one immediately loses the desire to use this place as a toilet. And since information spreads quickly among people, almost all visitors know about such insidious places. Therefore, they do not risk going to the toilet there. With dogs, the situation is similar. If the surface is geometrically inconvenient, they will not put a mark there. Were you aware of this situation? Did you have any idea what the boards were used for? Is it worth applying something similar in our country? How effective is the fly hack for human defense? In conclusion, the practice of placing planks on car wheels in various parts of Asia serves multiple practical purposes. Primarily, these wooden supports help prevent vehicles from rolling away on sloped surfaces, ensuring safety and stability. Additionally, they can be used to provide extra traction in muddy or uneven terrain, making them a valuable tool for drivers in rural areas. Understanding these simple yet effective solutions highlights the resourcefulness and adaptability of local communities in addressing everyday challenges. Thank you for watching, and we hope this insight into a unique aspect of automotive culture has been enlightening.